Liquid's state-of-the-art cloud-based business software, Edge LQ, is designed to supercharge companies' top performers by equipping them with the digital tools they need to flourish. Adaptable to a wide range of industries from aviation and aerospace to oil and gas. Managing Director Ryan Malloy joins us today to tell us more about this revolutionary software platform that's helping businesses grow and accelerate efficiently into the future. Ryan, thank you so much for coming and talking to us. You're a featured spotlight here with the Edmonton Unlimited series with Startup Week next week. That's exciting. But first off, I kind of want to get into what exactly the Liquid Software Corporation is, how it works, and what it does for people. So again, thanks for joining us, and we'll jump right into it.
For sure. Thanks very much for having me.
Absolutely.
Overall, Liquid, our core vision was to help business owners and entrepreneurs extract more money from their business.
Gotcha.
I've got a background in the energy sector and in industrial sales. And in a lot of cases, especially in companies that carry and hold the inventory, a lot of times what happens is things that fall through the cracks, so to speak, get left over. Those end up in the corners of the warehouse. And what we found and kind of what the vision is if we could help narrow those cracks or eliminate them entirely, then that would be a great way for people to be able to extract more business or more money from their business. Yeah. Having that cash kind of landlocked in junk you don't want and depreciating by the day. It hurts, and paying to store it and things like that. So that was kind of some of the core values that we wanted to provide products that can help automate that.
Gotcha.
And overall just narrow those cracks or eliminate them and just make things a little easier for business owners.
Yeah. So one thing that you mentioned in your website is it's maximizing the full potential of your sales force as well. So how does that kind of tie into this same concept of what you're talking about?
Well, we see it as the exact same thing.
Gotcha.
And that if the process and the digital tools your company's employing leaves less pitfalls, makes things better and faster, then you're going to get more out of your best people.
Okay.
And so that was kind of the concept is overall, and we treat that as kind of a guiding principle. We're always trying to improve the products, and that's the force behind it. Is if we count mouse clicks a lot, probably more often than we should, and we know if we could take something down from 15 mouse clicks to 5, then there's a lot more things someone could do with their time.
Right.
And we find that on a client by client basis, it tends to be their most experienced and their best people that respond quickly and are looking to do more.
Yeah.
So if we can put the digital tools behind them so they can get more done, then that's just it really advances the whole corporation.
Right on. Fantastic. Who are some of your primary and key users of the software?
It's funny. We a lot of our clients are relatively secretive. So we as an alternative to a lot of other software providers where they kind of scream from the rafters about who they're servicing and how. Yeah. A lot of our guys just end up kind of relying on our privacy statement and so on. So gotcha. We've got a handful of users. Yeah. We still are early stage. We launched last June.
Okay.
So we've got users in the transportation and logistics space and 3PL warehousing. Yeah. We've got users in aerospace and aviation maintenance, which
that's a wild one.
Who doesn't start with airplanes?
Yeah.
What we found is that the nature of our workflow and our structure is based around ISO 9000 principles.
Okay.
And as we look at those, Transport Canada and the D&D, their guidelines and their structure and their audit and reporting criteria are aligned with ISO 9000 very well. So as we kind of were introduced to companies in that space, it ended up just being a way better fit than we ever would have guessed. We certainly didn't come onto the scene last June expecting to branch into that space. Yeah. That industry where basically we've written a product for that industry. That industry is very underserviced. Yeah. Especially for modern software. Some of the purpose-built stuff for that subsector is pretty old. Nothing Canadian really. There's I believe there, and correct me if I'm wrong, there might be one other partly Canadian product that I think they do have like a head office that's overseas.
Okay.
But yeah, so we're all about the Western Canadian grown technologies, and being able to service as much of the industry here as possible.
Yeah, gotta love those happy accidents.
Absolutely,
absolutely. We hear that a lot in the entrepreneurial journey. We were going in this way, and then all of a sudden this happened, and we're over here now. Didn't think that's where we're going to be, but that's where we are, and it's awesome. So that's cool to hear. Yeah.
So kind of a lot of our base features really cater towards companies that sell product, carry inventory, have one or many warehouses, and when we compare ourselves and when clients compare us to other options out there to kind of look after that space, especially in higher ticket, larger dollar sales. Our workflow and our process is quick and easy. So overall, that really narrows the scope of training.
Yeah.
We have most users are good after a day of training.
Wow.
So like that sounds
onboarding is fast.
Onboarding is fast.
Yeah.
And overall, something that we also do to kind of support the process is we have a protocol for personalized training videos.
Oh, okay.
So we as we go through the process and train someone, we also back that up on our support calls. If someone has a problem, we'll walk them through it, and then we'll send them a follow-up video of exactly how to do what they might have been having a challenge with. Because our system's big, so there's a lot of areas, and kind of as we tried to build the widest net to catch all of the random edge cases, as we call them, you end up having an area of the system you don't use very often. Mm-hmm. And, we want it to be there if you need it, but hopefully you don't use it very often, especially some of the random stuff that can happen just in sales and customer service. So
right.
If someone ends up getting caught in something they don't do often and they don't want to do it incorrectly or whatnot, we're happy to kind of
right on.
Try and give them as much info as possible. And then, if it's there, people work evenings and weekends, stuff like that. And although our support is 24/7, we find that people would much prefer to just watch a link than to call someone. And so so we try and make that as easy as possible.
Right on. Wow, that's pretty wicked. Tell me a little bit about the journey from, we know where you came from originally, like you were you said oil and gas originally, right? So we know that part. When did you kind of get the idea of like, all right, there's a opportunity here. I think I can come up with a solution with that. How did you find the partners that you needed to kind of get things rolling? And then take me through a bit of the journey that it took you to get to where we are now, launching in June, you said, right?
Yeah. So happy to. I was in oil field material supply. So that was kind of the background. Our company, we started in 2004, sold, pipe and valves and fittings and various other, raw materials for oil field and industrial construction.
Gotcha.
So as that company grew, and we were lucky enough to have it grow rapidly, we outgrew a lot of our processes and systems. So like many entrepreneurs, you think of bootstrap ways to work around whatever the limitations you had. And then finally enough was enough. We were doing multiple seven figures a year. So we had to do something. We had exceeded our comfort zone with some of our workarounds. So we started looking for software. And the nature of the beast with that particular company was, and is often the case in a lot of distribution environments, if you have a really good supply chain, you need a ton of inventory. You might be able to run relatively inventory lean.
Right.
That meant buying out a ton of stuff from suppliers every day. The out-of-the-box stuff we looked at just couldn't handle that volume. It just wanted it to. The traditional structure is you buy some stuff, you put it into inventory, and you sell it from there. And that was just relatively redundant compared to the type of volume we needed to handle.
Gotcha.
So we ended up hooking up with a custom developer in Edmonton, and we designed and built one. So I was heavily involved with the design process and really liked it. We advanced that product over many years. That company's still using it. It's transacted over $250 million in business. So that was in 2013. And again, just really enjoyed that. Met a lot of great people involved with that project. A bunch of them kind of split and fragmented off and ended up on the West Coast and in Vancouver Island. And so we reconnected. A handful of us reconnected a few years later, and thought I'd exited the oil field in 2020, and a few years prior to that, was reintroduced to a whole bunch of, some of those guys had been plugged into the tech ecosystem on Vancouver Island, especially. There's a ton of talent out there, and got involved with them on some other projects and some other investments. And then we said, we should really build one from the ground up and see what it looked like. And so we've been going ever since. We're adding on to it every day. And so last June we were commercially available and started going after customers. So it's been an interesting change for me. It's definitely a different crowd you deal with in the tech sector versus the energy sector every day. But a lot of our customers, I'm a proud Albertan, and a lot of our customers are in the energy sector. So it's nice to have a kind of a foot in both camps, I guess you could say.
That's great. Right on. I love it's just that whole Alberta entrepreneurial mindset. Had a problem, I fixed the problem. Like, I didn't look for somebody else. I just did it myself. So I love it. I think that's super cool. Now you're featured here in Edmonton Unlimited on the Startup Week. What does that mean for you, and how does that help you guys out?
Yeah, it's good. Like, we, been an entrepreneur for a long time. And obviously with a transition into tech, that was a big shift, and there's a lot of differences. And we ended up as a lot of people do, we were searching out ways to get government grants. We felt like we were a good candidate for that. And so that search took me to Startup Edmonton and the infrastructure they have of programs. Right. So last year we were accepted into one of their accelerator programs called Propel. So that was like a 10-week course, and I really didn't know what to expect. And I was probably overly cocky, thinking, what are these, I've been doing this a long time, what am I going to learn from this? I was blown away. It was so valuable. It really, really, really helped us.
Awesome.
Met some great people. Everyone there was so willing to advise and give up their time, and just it was a great introduction into the kind of the startup landscape in Edmonton. And I'd kind of maybe been on the outside looking in for many years. So that was great. The skills and tricks and tech specific stuff we picked up through that process was really valuable. Great. So reconnecting and tried to stay in as much contact with all the people we met there. Startup Edmonton kind of went through their transition and so on, and we were lucky enough to be invited into this symposium this week.
Right on. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for coming in and explaining this all to us and telling us all about your corporation. This is a super cool tool, and I think it's very valuable for your guys' industry. And I mean, aerospace and stuff like that, those industries are growing so fast that I can see this being really implemented into there a lot more consistently. So we're very diverse. So and that was kind of the idea, to be able to be a fit for as many different companies as possible, and especially companies that just kind of looked at some different out of the box options and just didn't think that anything really worked for them. So we've had a lot of it's been a steep growth curve, and we're doing our best to keep up with that and keep everyone happy. Right on. Well, I mean, congratulations on all the success, and all best of luck to all more success in the future here. And again, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us.